In this video, I'm going to show you the relationship of parallel lines and those of perpendicular lines. So let's put a title. So we have parallel lines and perpendicular lines. It's perpendicular lines. In this topic, whenever we talk about parallel lines, always think about the slopes. Same for perpendicular lines. If two lines are parallel, the idea is that their slopes, so for parallel lines, the slopes are equal. Okay, so if I have like an equation, say 2x plus 3, so this equation follows the format of y equals mx plus b. So the slope is m, so the slope of this equation is equal to 2. So another line is parallel to this line when the value, the coefficient of x is also 2. So for instance, if I have y equals 2x plus 5, it's a different line. This line is parallel to y equals 2x plus 3 because the slope of 2x plus 5 is also 2. Okay, so the key idea is whenever you have two parallel lines, the slopes are equal. Now what about for perpendicular lines? So it's a different case. So for perpendicular lines, the slopes are negative reciprocal of each other. Okay, so what does that mean? So when you say negative reciprocal, so in other words, if for example I have y equals 2x plus 3, a line perpendicular to this line would be y equals negative 1/2 x plus any number. Okay, so say I have 5. Okay, so 2x plus 3 is the first line and y equals negative 1/2 x plus 5 is the second line. These lines are perpendicular because the slope of the first line is 2 and the slope of the second line is negative 1/2. The meaning of negative reciprocal is that negative, you just use the word negative, but the meaning is that you change or it's the opposite sign of the first slope. So for example, if this is 2, positive 2, then the slope perpendicular or the slope of the line perpendicular to the first line should be negative. So it's the same idea. When this is negative, then this should be positive. So that's for the negative. And then reciprocal, so basically the reciprocal of the number. So if I have 2, the reciprocal of 2 is 1/2. Sometimes it's easier to remember the relationship of perpendicular lines by saying double negative or double reverse. So reverse in sign from positive to negative or negative to positive, and the reverse in fraction. So it's easier to remember by using this term. So double reverse. Okay, so opposite sign, opposite fractions. Let's give another example because it is not easy to remember as compared to parallel lines. Say first line, so let's call the first line as line 1. Say the slope of the line 1 is equal to negative 2 over 3. So what will be the slope of the second line, say line 2, so that the second line is perpendicular to the first line. So the slope should be negative reciprocal of each other. So this is negative, so we expect the perpendicular line to be positive. The negative reciprocal. So from 2 over 3, this is 3 over 2. Okay, so always take note that when you are dealing with parallel lines, the slopes are equal, and when you're dealing with perpendicular lines, the slope are negative reciprocal of each other. In addition, for perpendicular lines, I want you to take a look at what will happen if we multiply the two slopes. So let's call the first slope as m1. So let's use this example. So m1 is equal to 2, and this m, let's call it m2, is equal to negative 1 half. So we already know that the lines with the slope 2 and negative 1 half will be perpendicular. So another relationship that can be drawn from this is that the m1 and m2, when you multiply them, the product is always negative 1. So we'll be using this idea on some problems that you will encounter in the test. So if in the given problem it says the two lines are perpendicular, the idea is that the product of the slopes should be negative 1. So for example, 2 times negative 1 half, if I will multiply 2 and negative 1 half, so this will be equal to negative 1. That will always be true for perpendicular lines. Okay, so remember these two ideas.